Where Lasso provides value in that entire equation is, our roots started here in 2012 as a CrossFit gym. So if someone's coming and knocking on my door looking for a discovery call, if we don't have Lasso that's amplifying our cold traffic, it's always going to be aren't you guys the crazy CrossFit gym down the street with Facebook leads? Hey, I don't really know that much about you. And now I curate that story the way that I want to drive what we need to do as a business forward. So
you're an inspiration to our entire organization.
Welcome to the Gym Marketing Made Simple podcast. We're going to be talking the done-for-you marketing and sales strategies proven to work with boutique fitness gyms to increase quality lead flow and grow your revenue. Don't try to be a professional marketer and waste tons of money. Let the experts at Lasso do it for you. And now, here are your hosts, Blake Ruff and Sherman Merritt.
All right, guys, here we go. Another great episode of Gym Marketing Made Simple. Today we have a very special guest with Blake and I. This is Tommy Allen. I am not going to tell you anything about him. I'm going to let him sort of introduce himself briefly because I love for people to talk about themselves. But first of all, Tommy, thanks for hanging out with us, buddy. I know you're busy.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Love it.
Definitely, man. So tell us a little bit about you, the gym, how long you had it, what all are you involved in, man, so the audience has a little background on you.
Yeah, so I own District 8 Strength and Fitness here in Houston, Texas with a business partner. Gym's been around since 2012. I bought it in 2019 with my business partner. I was a coach beforehand and it got passed on to me. And since then, it's kind of been a wild ride of evolution and change and partnering with people like yourself and all that. So we've been around in our neighborhood for over a decade, but I would say in the last 5 years, we've really kind of evolved away from our original roots, was just pure CrossFit and into some other things. So about me personally, my background's in finance, came out of school, got into portfolio management on the investment side of things and did that for a very long time, kind of got dispassionate about it. And fell in love with fitness and got into that. So that's just a quick, brief background on me.
Yeah, man. Definitely. So, all right. So how long have we been working together now? We've been working together for
September 2022. So let's call it like a year and a half. Yeah.
All right. Yep. So we've been working together a year and a half. So, I like when guys come to us, girls come to us and say, hey, I don't need you to save my gym. This is to make everything that I do better. And, when you came on saying that, I was like, all right, this is going to be good. But I didn't know it was going to be this good. So when you reached out to us, what exactly were you looking for?
Yeah. So what I had realized when I was thinking about our overall like advertising marketing strategy was like this needs to be a multi-pronged approach. Like, you would talk to different people and everyone was in certain camps. It's all got to be organic. It's all got to be paid. It's all got to be whatever, right? And after just kind of trying stuff, learning, failing, whatever, you kind of land on this, like, there needs to be a multi-pronged approach to all this. There's some guerrilla stuff going on. There's some paid going on. And when I landed on the fact that Facebook ads could really drive a new direction in the business, because really when we think about cold traffic, you guys know this better than anybody, right? Like, there's some impression of our gym maybe, but it's very limited. And so when they approach my business, they don't have a particular lens of which they're viewing my business. So I have complete creative freedom to say, hey, if I'm trying to take my business in this direction, this group of people is a great opportunity to start really taking it in that direction. And so I reached out to you guys because we're all from the same world, which means there's a certain level of trust. You guys have run gyms before, you know what my aches and pains are, all of that stuff. It's just different when you work with gym owners. And then the second thing is I really liked how you guys structured things and made it easy for me to implement. My time is my most valuable asset as a business owner, and you guys be able to come in and say, hey, we can support you and make this easy. And our cost per lead is some of the cheapest that I've seen versus me doing it myself. It was a no-brainer. So
I think that's a huge thing because, like you said, you doing it yourself and you having the knowledge to know that, like, A, it's cheaper, but then it buys back your time to do other things, right? So
100%.
like
Yeah.
go into a little bit of like what you notice, like, hey, now I'm not worrying about what Facebook's doing and how it's changing, and then what you got to focus on. Because I think that's a big thing is a lot of people are like, oh, I'm just going to do it myself again, right? But they don't realize, hey, we're getting you, even if we got you like $5 cheaper leads, you're still getting all that time back. And usually it's like we're getting, if you're getting $30 leads, we're getting you $15 leads. But even if it's $5, $6, $10, you're still getting a ton of time back, plus the opportunity of 10 more leads, right?
Right. Well, yeah, I mean, I could take this in so many different directions. So I'll tell you guys how I pitch this to my team and my staff. I'm like, guys, like, we now have a very reliable, consistent process where I can start putting metrics behind it. So if I know Lasso's generating on average 60 leads per month and we're closing at 20%, I know what new revenue is going to look like, which means I can plan for another salary, which means I can hire somebody, which you'll go down the line. So that just amplifies everything in the business, right? You guys both know, like, staff is what drives everything forward. If we're all on the same page, everything goes well. If we're not on the same page, we stall, and that's where burnout starts to set in. So for me, just having a more consistent flow of leads, it allows me to plan all aspects of my business a lot better because I know what expected revenue is. It ebbs and flows, but generally speaking, I know what it's going to be. So I can plan accordingly for anything I want to do with my business.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's the thing. I like that, like you're looking at this long term, like, hey, I can consistently plan on getting X amount of leads. And like you said, well, if we're closing around 20%, this is what that looks like as you play it down the road. But you mentioned something earlier that I don't think Blake and I really talk about enough because we sort of just take it for granted, right? Like, I had a gym for 13 years. Blake had two for about 10 years. Like, that's just who we are, right? We started this marketing thing a few years ago, sort of just because we saw a need. And then we realized, man, like, this is a big selling point because our community for so long had been, for lack of a better term, taken advantage of with all this stuff and that they didn't like and didn't feel right. So that's the reason Blake and I, whenever we are talking to people, we're always like, hey, like, we get it. Like, we genuinely get it. Like, people that don't know us, they always reach out and say, well, I'm a gym. Have you guys ever worked with the gym? And we sort of giggle like, yeah, we didn't know this because we don't talk about it enough. But, like, guys, we are gym owners, right? Like, I owned a gym for 13 years. I was a mentor for a gym mentoring company. So there are no sort of new problems that we haven't seen, right? It's just different cities, different locations. There are no special unicorns, right? Like, Blake and I, we were talking to someone recently, and they, are telling us about their gym and what they want. I'm just like, listen, I understand this is your baby, I get it, but it's still a gym, and we have systems in place that is going to make your gym more successful. All the other stuff that's important to you is not important to the person that wants to lose 20 pounds. It's just not. So I think that, Blake and I, we need to do a better job talking about our background as gym owners so people really understand that we get all the pain points. Like, we definitely do.
Yeah, you're not just some agency that's like, hey man, we put together a process or funnel that had worked in the tech sector and now we're going to try to apply it to the fitness. Like, I mean, when we got into it, even the fact that you guys walked me through the process of Blake's A/B testing stuff in the background, does this copy work? Does this image work? And then every single month, the cost per lead is consistent. I know the process that you guys are running is working, right? It's like, okay, like, they can consistently generate $13 to $15 leads per month, and I'm closing business at an arm of around $450 a month. You know what I mean? Like, that's some serious ROI, right, at the end of the day. So
I think one thing you're really good at is understanding that, like, you don't have to have new shiny objects every single month. Like, a lot of people are like, when are we going to change your copy? I'm like, you're getting $5 leads. Why would you change your copy, right?
yeah,
Like, if it's working, it's working. It's kind of like the old, like, if it's not broke, don't fix it. And, like, yes, we're testing things on the background, but until it proves better than what you actually have, don't change the system that's actually driving sales, right? But before we got on this, you were talking about just this week. And granted, like we started working with the franchise, and I saw some of their numbers over last year. And April is March is the slower month, and I think that's strictly because of spring break. And you're in Texas because, and I know Austin has that big festival as well, so that's a big thing for people in Austin. But people are like, I didn't realize it too much to this year in March. Is like March is a hard month for gyms because spring break. You think of any time there's a vacation, and a week before vacation, like parents are like zoned out, right? They're just like, I got to get ready for this. Then they got the week of vacation. And then we all know how it is. If you have kids, you come back from a vacation, you're like, I got 3 or 4 days. I need to get back in the rhythm. So you got 2.5 weeks of people not really making a buying decision in March. But talk to us a little bit about, like, we talked about how this week went for you, just, this past week.
Yeah. So this week, Sunday through today's Friday, we signed up 16 people. And like I told you guys that the trend is not atypical, but what you guys have done is just amplified it. So if in the past it wasn't 16, maybe it was 10, you guys have increased at least the amount of flow that's coming in. So when you're talking about like freeing up your time to do what, to do that, to close the business, to bring them in and actually like, push everything forward. So that was just our week this week. And not to say that like that's ideal. In a perfect world, if I can land at 10 to 12 a month, that's a great way for me to grow and not break my business. But if we have momentum, I'm not going to push against it. If it's 16 at the end of the week, awesome. I'll roll with 16. We can make it work. For
sure. And those of you guys listen, that's like over $7,000 because you sign them up for $400 each. But I think the next thing people are asking themselves when they hear that is, what is your process? Like, how do you get people from lead to $400? What does that look like that's been successful for you, that people can be like, and granted, guys, Tommy is really good at processes and systems, so he's got it dialed in. But what does it look like from the lead comes in to the sign up process, and what are you giving them for $400 plus dollars?
Yeah. So, big thing that I implemented when I bought the gym was just more automated systems. Now, granted, Sherman, when you first got into the game, dude, there was none of this stuff. Like you were just like, you were sending out like mailers to mailboxes, right? Like, come sign up to my gym, right? So like working with companies like Kilo and all of that, they've created systems to really kind of automate this for me, which has been incredible leverage. So when someone comes into our system, we use Kilo. So they get an automatic response saying, hey, you reached out to us. Let's hop on a discovery call and let me learn more about you. Within 10 minutes, I'm typically following up with them on a phone call. Like, even if they don't respond, I'm calling them and reaching out. We follow a 9-touch process over the course of 3 days. I found that cadence to be pretty successful. It doesn't have to be like an overwhelming amount. It's just about, 2 to 3 times a day, morning, afternoon, evening, pinging you, whatever. After the 9th, I just let Kilo drip, right? If they actually book a discovery call with me, it's a 10-minute phone call to understand what exactly it is that they're looking for. I curate what we do based on what they're looking for. So if they come in and they present themselves as, I need high accountability, I'm deconditioned for the last 5 years, I need nutrition help, my mind's rotating to one-on-one training, which in our world, that starts at $100 a session, right? So that's already at $860 a month if you're doing 2 times a week, okay? I'm not completely deconditioned, but I need to learn about strength training. I don't have any pain in my body. I just need some level of accountability. Okay, you're going to go into the semi-private route. That's around $500 a month for roughly 2 times a week. Hey, fun, social, fitness. I just moved into the neighborhood. I'm 28 years old. Cool. Let's talk about large group. That runs on average 205 to 215 a month, right? So you can kind of see, like, depending on how that discovery call goes, that's how I kind of gear the conversation. And because of the neighborhood we're in, 40s, established professionals, young families, most people are looking for a semi-private, one-on-one, possibly large group if they've been doing this kind of stuff for a while. So that's how we get to that process.
Man, for me, hearing you talk, Tommy, like, I love that you're talking about the clients or the potential clients' needs is the main thing you talk about, right? Like, obviously, train hundreds of gym owners, all that stuff on sales, but so many people there, again, they're so stuck on, what they have, when at the end of the day, our gyms are gyms, right? People have been to gyms, they've seen gyms for forever. So, guys, when these people reach out, you should be, like Tommy said, listening to what they're saying and then presenting your gym as a solution to their problem, right? Because when you do that, all the other stuff doesn't matter, right? The person that comes in that wants to lose 15 pounds, they want to lose 15 pounds. They really don't know. They really don't care how they're going to lose it. They don't need to know all how are you going to help me solve a problem? So I love that you do that. And I think that's a super important piece that I just didn't want to skip over.
Well, and one thing I want to highlight, and this goes back to the question that Blake asked me early on, was where Lasso provides value in that entire equation is, our roots started here in 2012 as a CrossFit gym. So if someone's coming and knocking on my door looking for a discovery call, if we don't have Lasso that's amplifying our cold traffic, it's always going to be aren't you guys the crazy CrossFit gym down the street with Facebook leads? Hey, I don't really know that much about you, and now I curate that story the way that I want to drive what we need to do as a business forward. So that's where Lasso's amplified it. It's because, like, okay, and I was talking to Sherman about this on our monthly call, was, hey, I need to direct the turrets more towards semi-private because that's where we have capacity. That's where my trainers can get paid more, all of that stuff. And then what Lasso does in that equation is someone knocks on our door and says, hey, I just saw like Get Strong program on Facebook. I'm interested. They don't know anything about our past. Maybe they do a little bit, but not really. Okay, we're going to talk about semi-private if that's what your needs are, right? So it allows me to amplify growing the business the way that I want to with that traffic.
Yeah, I think, like one of the things that you talked about just now is, yes, people know us. Yes, you've been around since 2012, but like, especially a big city like Houston, I can't even imagine. There are people that don't even know that you exist, right? So, but here's the thing. They don't know much. They, like you said, they may know a little bit about the crazy CrossFit. Oh, my friend used to do that. She used to be walking on her hands. I could never do that. But they click on a ad in January just to see what it is, right? Like they're not ready to buy right now. But then they stay in that funnel for 8 months and then they have a pain. They're like, man, I want to get in shape. I don't know about this CrossFit thing, but I'm going to go check them out because I like all the stuff they're emailing. And that's how this process works, right? Like it's not always, oh, click on the link in front of you 2 days later, signing up for $500. Sometimes you have to nurture these people to the reality of what you can really do to solve their problems. So I love how you said that sometimes it takes time for these people to make a decision. They don't all come in day 3 and sign up.
Yeah, and let's call a spade, Blake, right? I'm sure you tell people this all the time. This is cold traffic, right? Like we're not closing at 90%. These aren't like referrals, okay? Like there's also a lot of people that are just kicking tires.
Yeah.
Totally fine. But when you look at money and money spent, time saved on my end and what I'm closing at, the value equation still makes sense on our end, right? So that's what all you guys are doing for us, which I really, again, not to discount that, I really appreciate it because it allows me to just push everything forward.
And I tell people this too, and it sounds weird that I say this, is the worst leads are actually going to come directly from Facebook, right? The best leads are actually going to take the extra step and be like, because you guys have amazing photos. They're going to go to your like I think of it like when I look at an ad, the first thing I do is click the Facebook profile or the Instagram profile, right? Like that's, I don't ever click because I know where it's going to go, right? And I think people in 2024 are getting so educated on ads that they're going to look at the content and they'd be like, is this the place for me? And then they go to the website or then they click on the link tree or whatever you have in your Instagram. That people, the more educated buyer that like is actually serious is going to take the extra step to go to like learn more about you and then opt in. So not only like does it increase just your cold traffic, and it's still cold traffic, but it's not a direct correlation to the ad, but it's going to the website. Or they might come back, right? Like we just did a long podcast of this. I like getting my dog back and I like saw a fence company and I saw their ad probably like 3 months ago, right? I'm probably going to Google that fence company once my parents that stole my dog bring it back. But it was 3 months ago. And the last step I took was Google, right? So the person that comes in is like, they might have saw your ad 6 months ago and then they realized, man, summer's coming up. I remember that district, that gym. I'm going to type that in, district CrossFit gym. Yours is going to come up and they're going to say, hey, how'd I hear about you? Oh, Google, right? And they're like, well, actually, it was probably 6 months ago when they saw the ad, right? So a lot of times it's going to amplify all across the board too. And so I think the thing, like you said, because Sherman just put out a video that cold traffic, you should shoot for 10% close rate to upwards of 25. And just know that from the get-go. And I think that's a huge thing for people to go in for their perception rather than I'm going to close everybody. Then you're just going to be disappointed.
Yeah. And or just general brand awareness. So I know like on a recent podcast, like you talked about when Coca-Cola spends money, they don't really care, not really care, but they can't track perfectly how they're going to come into the system. But like we've also had a ton of people that are like, I have a friend who goes there. I live down the street, but it was the Facebook ad I clicked on that finally made me make the decision. So like just that brand awareness in your local community, I'm driving past it. I'm seeing it on social media. It's on SEO when I type in personal trainer, Houston Heights, whatever it is, right? Like all of that matters. So going back to like a multi-pronged approach to all of this, I've kind of settled on that as an owner to say that's the model I want to run because I don't know for certain where this stuff's going to come from. Maybe it comes from Facebook. Maybe it comes from I walked by. But if it's a full court press through all these mediums, it's going to help in some regard, especially if no one else in my neighborhood is doing it.
Yeah. And it does, and at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter where they came from, right? As long as they sign up and stuff like that, you're going to spend more time trying to figure out where they came from than it is actually worth it.
Yeah.
I think, something for everybody listening. What have you seen just as a gym owner? Because I don't want to make this all about ads and stuff. What have been some of the key things that has made your gym successful that you can be like, here's 2 to 3 things that like I've implemented or done in my gym that's had a massive impact and return?
Yeah. I mean, we've talked about a couple of them already. One is, 3 years ago, I had been running a model with a mentorship program that everyone on this call is fully aware of. Okay. And what I realized was that if I'm running a stratified model, it took me far, but at the end of the day, I had a quote unquote successful gym by those metrics, but I didn't see it as successful. Why wasn't it successful? We weren't creating predictable outcomes for clients. It was still kind of like trying to be a sniper with a shotgun. I hit a lot of stuff, but I also miss a lot of stuff. My staff couldn't afford to live in the neighborhood they were working in. They weren't making enough money, right? And I didn't feel like I could remove myself from the business. So I had bought myself a job. I wasn't an owner. I was just hustling a lot, So a couple of things that I had to figure out was, okay, how do we create an economic model where everyone can succeed? Meaning like I can serve people in a very predictable way. My staff can make the types of money that allow them to make this a career. And I create enough systems and space where I can actually remove myself and still be able to go on Shark Tank with a really good business pitch and say, hey guys, EBITDA is at 35%. Who wants in, right? Like just stuff like that. It's not like I'm not running a nonprofit here, right? It still makes business sense to do all this, right? So hire good staff. Staff pushes everything forward. So like if you're trying to find really, really good help, the question you got to ask yourself is, if I was applying for a position to coach and I wanted to find the right people, what types of economics need to make sense? So you need to find ways to add more value to your clients' lives. So going back to our conversation of a stratified model, personal training, semi-private, large group, curate what you're already doing, just make it more personalized. Meet people where they're at. If they don't want to go to a large group because they're not quite ready for that, that doesn't mean you can't do functional fitness, lift weights, and condition. Organize it in a way where it meets them where they're at with intensity, movement prescription, whatever it is. And you can still help a lot of people who are looking for help, right? Like you can easily do that within most micro gym models. If you're in a franchise, obviously it's a different conversation. And then I would say like, be aware of what you don't know and have enough humility to outsource it when you think there's a better opportunity to return on your time. So like for me, I learned early on, like, yes, I am the owner and I'm the boss, but I don't have such a big ego where I have to figure it all out on my own. If guys like Lasso can make it my life easier for a reasonable cost where value exceeds cost, I'm going in that direction. It's not just marketing. It could be mentorship. It could be systems. It could be programs. It could be technology, whatever it is. Like, find ways to leverage your time accordingly so you can focus on the things that actually grow your business. I know that's probably not like earth shattering in terms of an answer, but like those would be the big things that I would recommend people do.
No, I think that's huge because not enough people don't know their numbers to know that things make sense, and they don't realize that coaches are really the face of the company, and they should be, right? If you want to run a successful business, so you have to be so intentional about the people that you put in front of people, right? So I think that's huge.
Not to say it's been easy, man. Post COVID,
No,
finding good help has been
Yeah.
brutal. I
Oh,
don't know
for
if just
sure.
people decided to exit, but like it's been hard. It's been really hard. I've had to recruit people. I'm going out and finding people versus just hoping something comes through Indeed. Let's put it that
Yeah.
way. So yeah.
Yeah. No, I think that, now with me being out of the game for, for like only for a little while, we've been in the game so long, I don't think people really realize what we as gym owners did post COVID. For like the ones that stuck around and started to thrive, um, like I look back on that and like that was a crazy Tommy. They said they shut our gyms down, like shut them down, right, for an extended amount of time. And like I was looking over numbers and stuff. At times, I'm just like, this person, these people left and said they were coming back, but life happened. And I was just like, this was really like it was really a crazy time. So that's why for us, one of our missions is like we want to help these gym owners because we know that like it's a battle to run a profitable, successful business, and we just feel that paid marketing helps us get there. We touch more people, help more people get in shape, live longer, blah, 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 all of that. So no, that's exciting though, for
Yeah,
sure.
Blake still looks really good. Sherman, you and I got a lot more gray in our beard, my friend. Like you could tell we've been battle tested the last 4 years. So
I
yeah,
got out of it right after COVID, so you guys
yeah,
went through it. So that was the thing. Or if I let it grow out, the gray would come in. So that's why I keep
yeah.
it short.
It's there somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, it is there. Believe me. Believe me.
Tommy, so tell me this, because we're gonna get ready to wrap up here.
yeah.
What would someone thinking about reaching out to us, like what would you tell them, right? Like good or bad, like what would you tell them thinking about reaching out to us because they've heard about us, because we know there's a lot of people out there they've heard about us and not sure. Like, what would you tell them after being with us for about 18 months?
Yeah, we'll keep it basic here. Number one, it's
Yeah.
worked for us. So the ROI has been incredibly positive, a lot more positive than, um, how we could grow organically. So it's worked for us. Now let's unpack that. So why has it worked? I think you guys are unique in that you have a consultative approach and that you're on top of like, hey, we're not just here to collect money and run ads. Like, give us feedback. What's working? What's not working? What do your numbers look like? Things like that. So if you're interested in working with Lasso, couple things. Understand that they just turned the faucet on. You need to have systems in place to make sure it's successful within your environment. So don't just think, to your point, Sherman, you brought this up, like you guys are going to save a gym.
Yeah. No.
If you're in that world, like there's like some systems you need to put in place before you go approach Lasso, because all they're doing is just turning the heat up on the stove at the end of the day, right? So like, make sure you have the systems in place to make sure that the leads that are coming in are successful. Take full advantage of Sherman and Blake's expertise as gym owners, as industry experts, to figure out how to best curate the message to best meet the population or avatar you're going after, um, and give it time. This isn't a overnight strategy. This is 18 months in the works, and like, yes, we saw success initially really, really quickly, but there are times where there's lulls. So like, don't just give up on it because it was 3 months of like, oh, it didn't really work out. It's like, no, like, it takes time. It ebbs and flows just like everything else. So that's what I would say.
All right. No, no, no. That was good, man. No, I like that because I think all that stuff is great, especially the ebbs and flows, right? Like, like
Mm.
we'll work some gyms. They'll, 1 month they may get 10 grand in new revenue. Next month it may only be 3. And they're like, guys, this isn't working. I'm just like, we want to look at, Blake always said, we want to look at this over the long term, right? Like not every single week is going to be a home run week, right? Like that's exactly how it is. But yeah, I think we're going to wrap it up, man. We've given them a lot of info. Tommy, thanks for hanging out with us. Like really, like this was great.
Yeah.
And if you guys have any questions or things like that, drop them in the comments. You can reach out to Tommy. Tommy, if someone has a question for you, how do they get in contact with you?
Yeah, so email tommy@districthsf.com. You can come through our website, districthsf.com, Instagram, the District H Strength. Any of those mediums, you can get a hold of me.
All right. Perfect. Well, guys, as always, tell a friend to tune in, and we will chat with you guys next week. All right.
Yeah. Thank you for listening to the Gym Marketing Made Simple podcast with Blake Ruff and Sherman Merricks. We hope you enjoyed. We believe marketing should increase revenue and not waste money. So book your free call today. Head on over to lassoframework.com. That's lassoframework.com and find the right words, get more customers, and increase your revenue. We'll see you here next time.